Doesn't it feel like Hollywood keeps recycling the same stories, the same IP, the same franchises over and over again? Are you bored of the stale, cookie cutter, rinse and repeat formula that the studios keep feeding us? Well, consider contributing to my Indiegogo campaign, Urban Luxury. It's a 6-part anthology series that deals with the commodification of Black cultural representation. I was inspired to write this series because I used to work at one of those high-end cultural urban e-commerce companies that prided themselves on being part of the culture. But honestly, the culture that they're trying to sell us feels very different than the culture that I've experienced throughout my entire life. So if you're looking to support something that's original, fun, thought-provoking, and edgy, support Urban Luxury on our Indiegogo page. The clock is ticking, so we need your help right now. And what's your thoughts, though? Not spoiler thoughts, Andres. What are your thoughts on Gladiator?
Damn, bro, you put me on the spot.
Hey,
Oh man. I mean, you haven't seen a tweet from me.
yeah.
That's usually a bad sign.
Oh no, you didn't like it? Oh, no.
Man.
You're a Ridley Scott fan. Like, you love Ridley Scott.
I'm a Gladiator like super fan, man. That's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I'm a Ridley Scott super fan. And I was like, damn, bro, this movie was like a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts right now. I just didn't like it, man. I felt like it was super rushed.
Yeah.
I felt like they cut a lot of storylines.
It could have been
they
longer.
tried to do, yeah, it could have been a lot longer. They tried to do too much. I felt like the Denzel part, like there's so much to his character that we could have seen,
Yeah.
and
You
they
could see
still
more.
cut a lot around it. You could feel like the editing being very intentional as far as like getting to the next scene, getting to the next scene, instead of letting actors cook, letting Denzel cook a little more because
Okay.
you could tell he wanted to cook more.
Mm.
He had a lot left in that role, so
Damn.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, man.
Yeah.
First.
I'm not trying to bring you down though, John. You can have your own thoughts. You can
you,
probably like it.
nah, you good, man. It's
I feel like I'm a outlier.
not what I mean. Yeah, that's the first negative review.
I was gonna say
I've
that was
heard.
first one I heard too. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if you said it's paced, kind of crazy, then that's something to look out for. That's something for me to pay attention to.
Yeah, man. I dug Gladiator too. That was epic. That was action packed. I liked Denzel in it. That's all I really gotta say. You know what I'm saying? The rest of it, I do agree. There are some parts that are rushed. There are some parts that like this movie could have been a 3-hour movie and I would have been happy. You know what I'm saying? But it was 2:30, and they probably had to cut some things because studio was like, we actually trying to make money on this. We're not trying to lose anything, which I can see. But I liked it though. I liked it a lot.
See, I'm with you, but I still feel like they're tripping though. Like every time the studio says that, we see so many examples of movies that are longer and that are better for it. And they get a lot of money, man. We see that with Oppenheimer, and I know, that might be a crazy example, but it's really not if you think about how much money it made. Think about it, a major director, and this one is a huge sequel.
Mm-hmm.
Let it be, 240, 250, whatever it's got to be. Give it those extra 15 minutes, and I swear you'll make a better movie, and you'll make a lot more happier fans, a lot more people recommending the movie to other fans and to other people who could possibly see it. But everything felt like it was just holy shit. Let's get to the next scene. Let's like keep going, keep going. Almost to the point of like there was a few scenes that really did feel like you couldn't follow. Like I was like, damn, it's so hard to follow along, bro. Did we switch up that quick again? Like so many character switch ups, the shit with the brothers, the Emperor brothers. It was like 1 second they were like, I love you, bro. Oh shit, he's gone. He's not gone. He's here. He's dead. He's, you know, new emperor. And I was like, that happened in like 5 minutes, bro. That whole shit.
Yeah.
And then it does a quick cut to what's his face? Paul Mescal's character, Lucius.
Right.
It just felt like almost to the point of like comical editing. What'd you think of that cut, bro? Because you know which one I'm talking about.
Which one?
When they're cutting up the Emperor, spoilers.
Oh.
And then it just cuts to Paul Mescal like sitting in a boat or something, or like
Oh yeah,
sitting in his cell.
In cell, yeah, in cell, yeah. I remember that.
And I was like, what the hell is happening? Who's editing this movie, bro? It was like almost comical editing. I was like, this is a whole TikTok edit, bro.
I mean, yeah, I get it. I get it. I liked it, man. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like, yo, let's just get to the point. Let's cut around the fat and let's just get straight to the stuff. Oh, hold up, y'all. Hold up. We got somebody else up in here. We got somebody else who's about to come through. Our very esteemed colleague, Sabrina, is about to join us for First Cut Live. Wait, hold up, Sabrina. And the screen's a little jacked up.
Can we hear them now?
We can hear now. We can hear both of y'all now. Sorry about that. So sorry. Sorry. So sorry. You was talking.
No, you're totally
so
good. I'm so sorry, guys. I said a lot. So to take everything I said and like make it shorter.
So sorry.
I still really like the film. I don't think that. I think a lot of the technical aspects are great. I think a lot of the performances are absolutely stellar, and I think the performances drive the entire film. And again, also lighting incredible, especially considering, you know, Wicked, which we'll talk about probably sometime soon. But lighting, production design, like all of this kind of stuff, it felt like it really elevated this entire film, and the performances drove it home. I think Denzel Washington's character is the only one. So I agree with Andres where he said, you know, there's not a lot to chew on with these characters. And unfortunately, I agree with our main character. And it's only Paul's performance that keeps me invested in this character at all. But when it comes to Denzel, I think the most like profound commentary that this film has is truly like his character experiencing misfortune, getting out of it, but then being more than happy to inflict that same, not only be complicit in it, but conflict that same, misfortune onto others. He talked about like from a slave to like an emperor. And I think that was like the meatiest thing we could have gotten in the film. And again, of course, elevated by Denzel's incredible performance. And in terms of something I compared it to in like real life, I think we see it a lot, even something like gays for Trump or Latinos for Trump or whatever it may be, queer people for Trump in any way. Sorry, y'all. I hate to even say it again. I already said it and cringed before, but now I'm repeating myself here because we couldn't hear me the first time. But, you see somebody, there's these street interviews where someone's like, yeah, I'm an immigrant, but we shouldn't let any of these people into the country. And it's like, well, you are that same person. Imagine if somebody said that about you, which people had, and so I think it's kind of this vicious cycle that especially, queer people of color, like I feel like this always happens when you get any sort of power. It can be very easy for you to then not care about the other people that were in the same situation that you were in. And so I think that that's the best thing this film brought to light with Denzel's character. I think Denzel, like, because he's like the anti-hero of his own story. So he's the villain of this story, but in his perception, in his lens, he's the one that's doing something right for himself, not caring about how it can affect other people. So that is what I really gravitated towards with the film. I still think it's really good, but the longer that I'm away from it, the less that I care about it really in terms of anything else. But I also did rewatch the original, and I also kind of felt the same way about that. Like I still really like it, but to look back and think like, oh, this was a Best Picture winner. Yeah. When we compare it to some that we've seen, over the last 2 decades, and maybe I'm wrong with this. But to even see like a Parasite or just like feats of that kind, Gladiator doesn't even hold a candle to any of those, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's funny because I had literally just rewatched Gladiator 1 like last week.
Let's step away for a second.
Oh, got you. Keep your camera on. Okay. Okay.
What's that?
You just keep your camera on. Keep your camera on if you gotta step away. Yeah, sorry. But yeah. I had just rewatched Gladiator right before, not right before, but a week before the thing came on. Gladiator 2 came out, and yeah, you're right. It feels more like a 2000s action movie than it does like a Best Picture winner, which I'm not the most mad at per se. But it definitely doesn't feel like the same caliber as Best Picture winners now. I think a lot of it came down to the fact that it was like a Sword and Sandals movie. Like that's just a genre the Academy loved. It kind of felt like a throwback. Also, it was like a more of a career reward for Ridley Scott, at the time, which he didn't even win Best Director for Gladiator. Ironically, like Steven Soderbergh ended up winning because he had 2 movies that were amazing that year, and they went to award him for both. But Yeah, Gladiator, the first one, is more of an action film with a lot, but that movie did have a lot more setup, a lot more dialogue, a lot more character work in that one. This one, it literally felt like, okay, boom, action scene, then boom, we watching Denzel doing some Denzel stuff. Boom, action scene, boom, another talking scene, boom, action scene. It felt like almost every other scene was an action scene. And then the scenes that weren't, it was like, how can we get to Denzel as quickly as possible, basically? You know what I'm saying? Like,
to go off of what you said, I feel like even because like the original, even though it's of course grand in scale, like when we're talking about character development and characters, it's much smaller. Now we have like in this new one, we have like Pedro's character, Denzel's character, along with the Emperor's versus like a more Joaquin, Russell Crowe type of dynamic. And that's what I feel like it was so spread out that we didn't give a lot of those characters enough time to really like flesh them out. Like Pedro's character, I mentioned that in my review on Geeks of Color, but I want to see more from him. His acting's incredible. He's doing the best that he could do with the material, but I just never felt connected with him, and I never really understood. Like I just didn't have enough time to even like process my connection with him. And then same thing with Paul Mescal's character. I think I mentioned it when we chatted about it, and I did my non-spoiler review. But like it's such a flip. It's like 1, 2, oh, he's embracing his heritage. He's embracing his mother. And we didn't get any of the reason as to why we would believe that that's the case. So yeah, I still like it though. I mean, again, just looking at it from like, I think I mentioned this also, but it does feel like a mid 2000s action movie. And in that regard, I still really like it. Just as Swords and Sandals, mid 2000s level, this would like knock it out of the park. Yeah. It does though, with Paul, as amazing of an actor as he is, again, he's one of my favorites. We just don't have action stars. We just don't right now. I can't think of a single, because like someone mentioned Glenn Powell to me, which I thought was absurd. Like, what if Glenn Powell? Well, okay, Andres, we already know your thoughts.
right, super Glenn.
Yeah, right. But somebody said that, like, oh, what if it was Glenn Powell? Like, I think he has the star power to do this, and I'm like, no, I really honestly don't think anyone does. I can't think of a single major action star that could step into this role and give us the same kind of effect we see with like a Russell Crowe, or we saw with like, Tom Cruise or anyone else who was action stars of like yesteryear.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I feel like there could be a couple actors that could have done.
Ooh.
That's a good question. Who? Idris Elba. No, I'm playing.
I was gonna say, you like, the action stars now are literally like the old dudes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
exactly.
Honestly, Denzel is more of an action star in some ways because the Equalizer franchise, like than like a lot of younger actors. And yeah, that's why I ain't gonna lie. When we saw Denzel he was getting into the action part of it towards the end, like he was duking it out with Paul Mescal. I'm like, oh shoot, this is getting serious. Like, I love that part of it. I just love the building the conflict. I love seeing Denzel's character get to the top, and then. Yeah, it was a little rushed, but at the same time, like, man, I actually only kind of want to see this guy for the whole movie. You know what I'm saying? Get these doofy emperors the F out of here. Like, I'm kind of over them after like 2 scenes, like,
yeah, there's a lot there that just doesn't work for me, man. The emperors were like, they were cool. Like, they were funny, silly for a while, and they were like really silly, and they were making a point. And then they just got more and more silly to the point of like, all right, we get it. And by the time they die, they just die. And then when it comes to Paul's character, man, holy shit, what an empty role. Like, my God, like that role was just like, he's like, I have to do what I have to do. We're going to fight. And then he's like, I hate you, man. And then, Mom, I hate you, Mom. And then he's like, I love you, Mom. I don't know. He's like, I have to kill the general. I don't want to kill the general. You guys are wrong. I love Rome. Rome is the best. They killed my whole family, but I love Rome. Rome is awesome. And I was like, bro, you were crying because of your wife like 20 minutes ago. You lost like 100 friends in that freaking African city you lived in. And now you're like, us Romans are the shit. We're the best. What are you talking about? I don't know. It just felt like there were so many things that I just really did not like, especially about his role specifically.
I mean, I hear y'all. I hear you. It was definitely rushed. I liked it, And I think it was Russell Crowe's character, again, going back to original guy, like you said, Sabrina, his character really didn't have that much depth either in that movie. Like, he was really just an honorable soldier, strength and honor. He said it like 100 times. And just basically trying to get himself free. Like, he actually kind of had less depth in the Gladiator 1 than like Gladiator 2. But you're right, the emotional scenes, they did kind of rush through like for this. I just thought he was tough, man. Like, when they're fighting the monkey dogs, for one, the monkey dogs, like, how are we not going to talk about the monkey dogs? You know what I'm saying? Wasn't that sick? Like, because those weren't regular monkeys. Like, they had dog faces. Like, it was crazy.
It was like fully like baboon, like vicious.
Baboons, yeah.
Whatever that was tough. Like, that was, ooh. And then when homie was wrestling with him and he like bit the monkey's arm, and then like started yelling at him. I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm sold. Yeah,
I like that. I think Paul did a really good job with those very like intense scenes. But yeah, I think it's just the script that like definitely keeps this film from being something greater. Like, I think something that we kind of expected from it. But I still liked it. So I'm like in between you two, closer to RB3's thoughts on it.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of it too was his personality, where we didn't get a clear picture as far as who he was. Like,
I mean, did we Russell Crowe either?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Because I don't really like.
At least here's the thing with Russell Crowe: he's consistent though, because Paul changes every 5 minutes. 1 second he's like, I hate Rome. The other second is I hate my mom. Then literally 5 minutes later he's doing a speech about how Romans are the shit, and then how much he loves his mom and crying about his mom. And I was like, bro, you just said she's not your mom anymore. At least Russell Crowe is a basic ass. I'm a soldier. I'm gonna do my shit. I hate you and I hate you for life, and I'm gonna get my revenge. And at least he stood on business, bro. I felt like this guy was like a flip flopper.
Well, I think that's just like the issue with the script overall, having all these characters and not having enough time or care or whatever to really make it all make sense. It's just a lot of movie for nothing. But I still liked it. Again, I think Denzel is the reason why I really like this movie, not just his performance, but also his character. I think he was the only character that actually got fleshed out in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, Gladiator. I mean, I had a good time. Again, sweaty, bloody, Paul, Pedro, everybody. I'm on board. Yeah. And also, Kevin Davis is in the chat, and I see you, Kevin Davis, because we are tiffing every single time we do these live streams, and I talk about Wicked and Gladiator, and you think that international audiences are not going to care as much, and I respectfully disagree. So we'll see. We'll see, Kevin.
We're going to see the worldwide numbers are still coming in for both of these movies. Gladiator already opened overseas in some areas and it did good. Now, I will say too, one more thing before we get off of Gladiator. In terms, we're not talking enough about these action sequences, okay? And I just want to say, if I had to rank if y'all had to rank the action sequences, where would y'all rank them? For me, the monkey fight, number 1. The last fight between Denzel and Paul Mescal, number 2. That was phenomenal. The water fight, number 3 for me, strong number 3. The one with the rhino was also great too. It was the rhino and then Pedro Pascal getting the arrows in them. Was that all in the same sequence? Oh, that was different. No, okay, so a different one. I put the rhinos number 4, and then I'll put that fight scene between Pedro and Paul as number 5. Even though it was a great fight scene, but it just, to me, it was just like, man, it just ended on like it was a tough ending on that scene. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though it was cool seeing them get arrowed all the way through and through, I was like, man, like I kind of want to see more of that character kind of develop, especially him just revealing the truth to him like that. I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But it's already a crowded movie. But what's y'all rankings?
All right, I'm gonna speak on that because 100% that's my number 1. 100%. I thought the way Pedro came in and cooked 5 homies in 5 seconds. I thought that was sick. And then when they were like, we're bringing out the warrior to fight him, and then he comes out, Lucius comes out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And he fights him. I was like, bro, and it's a dope fight. Like, it's a quick fight, but it's a dope fight. But low key, Pedro cooks him like quick, bro. And I think we kind of slept on how good he is as a fighter in the movie. And I felt like the fights, nothing like two dudes just going hand in hand, I think, in my opinion. And then the way he fights, the way he surrenders, the whole scene, the setup, I thought that was the best part, for sure, the best action scene. And then under that, I'm gonna put him in the freaking party.
Oh yeah,
Fighting
I
bearded
forgot
homie.
about that too.
That fight scene was sick.
That was crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah,
because the way he uses his surroundings and shit, like Batman.
Yeah.
Just using random furniture, throwing it at his face, and then doing that quick random ass poem at the end. I was like, "Yo, this is good."
Full spit. Yeah. Yeah.
So those are my top two. Under that, I'll go ship scene, then rhino scene, and then RB3. Man, those bamboos,
you
man.
Didn't like the monkeys?
I didn't like it, bro. I thought it was too quick. I was like, this is too quick. We needed more.
Oh man, I thought that was tough. Yeah, the monkeys kind of gave up after Paul kind of bit the one, and the rest of them.
I'd be a little bit scared if I were that too. I'd be like, you know what, I'm not going by that guy. All right.
You know the scene in because I there's another movie that features crazy baboons trying to kill people and rip their faces off. But Catching Fire, bro. Catching Fire.
Wicked.
Freaking Finnick, bro. Oh, Wicked. There you go.
Yeah. Catching Fire.
But Catching Fire, you got Finnick like taking out like 20 baboons.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Like, I thought that scene was better than this one.
Both fine. Sabrina, what's your ranking of the action sequences?
So I was gonna say the party when he ends with the poem as well, because I think that scene alone is like the best of Paul's work in this entire film. That was fantastic, and I also think that we got those glimpses into his character. Like, why are we fighting for the benefit of these people? And so little moments like that, I think, filled in the gaps where the script just kind of like left us to do the work. And I don't like to be handed anything. Well, whatever. I don't like to be handed stuff just on a silver platter, make everything so obvious. But again, we all agree that they kind of didn't put in the work to like flesh out his character and his motivations. But I think a scene like that really does it for a second until, again, we flip to the next one and it completely shifts to something else. So that's number one. I really loved the opening. Honestly, I think that kick-started the energy. So I know it's not like a fight necessarily, but it's still that battle. Those two sharks, I think, just in terms of how gruesome everything was. I really, really love that. And also Paul and Denzel, Paul and Pedro. I mean, this is hard, honestly. Like, I want to say like 1 through 4 is kind of even, except for 1 being like above the rest. But yeah, Denzel and Paul and Pedro and Paul were great. And then everything else was just kind of like, yeah, like this is all really good. And it's all on the same bar with me. The baboons, the sharks, all the above.
I feel like most of them were pretty rushed, though, if I'm being honest. I just felt like in general, everything was rushed. But ironically enough, I still feel like the script, you're right, Sabrina, the more I think about it, the script is really what was the worst, maybe even worse than the editing for me.
Absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know, the editing was just so bad. But for me, it's still like the switch up. I still remember that scene. You reminded me of that scene, Sabrina, when he talks to him after he just fought that dude in the party, and he says like, why do you give up your name for a Roman name? When he talks about the Roman money, and he's like, what is this Roman money? And he talks about it with so much disdain because he knows what the Roman Empire is. And again, the switch up, it just doesn't make sense to me, where now he's like, I'm Lucius and Rome is awesome and we're going to make Rome great again. And I was like, what are we doing? You just said Rome is awful. And I feel like maybe even Pedro's plan might have been better than yours. And now you're over here trying to be the ruler of Rome. It just felt weird. It just felt weird. Didn't you just hang out with slaves and lose your wife in a war and see the effects of the Roman Empire? And now you want to, hold hands and hang out with the same guys who were stabbing people in the streets? Those Praetorian guards?
I think it also kind of shows like the problem, of course, was the emperors and people like Denzel and people like Pedro are all like, Pedro is like the next level of being like complicit in this. And then everybody else, you're kind of, it's unfortunate, but like, what do you do? How do you defy, other than getting killed? How do you defy something like that? And so I think what his thing is going into it and becoming a part of it and making it better from the inside out. That's
why it's bad.
I know. I don't agree with it. And I understand. And I also like, I think maybe finding out that he is like a prince and he is like his father's legacy and all of that. I think that that is what kind of like leads him to this point. So he's not just sitting there buddy with people that like hurt his friends and his own people. I think finding out who he is and his identity. But again, it wasn't done well in the script. So I'm filling in gaps here that like they did not do for us and they did not give it to us. So I'm not giving like the script any credit in that way. Trust me, I think the script and the editing, those are the two weakest parts. I literally wrote that in my notes. Just, I'm like, what the fuck is this editing? Like, what is this at all? And yeah, it was very, very jarring in that way. But again, still like it. I still like it. It's like a solid 8 because of everything else knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the cut, Sabrina, when they're cutting up the Emperor and it cuts to like him sitting in a cell, like literally like so fast?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I had to sit there. I had my little slushie and I had my little popcorn. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going for a ride. This is ancient Rome. There's sharks in the water. Are some of these technical aspects done poorly? Yes. Am I going to sit here and like try to enjoy the ride? Absolutely. So I tried not to think about every time I was like, oof, this editing. I just tried to like forget about it immediately after. That's kind of like the way I went into it.
Yeah, I swear, man, that editing.
I hear y'all, but for me, 10 out of 10, no notes. Now, we obviously, you talked about defying government, Sabrina. We also have a movie that's defying gravity come out this weekend.
Transition.
With an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, one of the highest rated musicals of all time. Rotten Tomatoes, we have Wicked, starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Shaking your head about Andres.
Right.
I'm shaking my head that
Let's unpack this.
I haven't seen it. I don't want to be spoiled.
Oh no.
Because I really do want to see it though.